Yeah, hello guys, you are most welcome to Nobuti Fashion Channel. So as people are gradually getting tired of a normal sleeve cuff, here is another amazing sleeve cuff in which you can do on your dress. So please, I advise you to stay till the end of the video so that you will not miss any part of it. So now let's get started. I've already cut the sleeve and the measurement for the sleeve. This is the measurement now. The sleeve length now is a 22, while the wrist that I'm using is a 9 inches. Is a 9 inches. Assuming that the sleeve length is a 22, while the wrist is a 9 inches. Assuming that I'm making it a cuff, the cuff will be what? The total cuff that I will get at the end of the day will be 9 inches. So now, but here, what we have to do now here is the wrist now plus a seaming allowance. I want the seam allowance to be 2 inches, so giving me what? Giving me 11. So the wideness of this thing now that I will cut, the wideness now will be what? Will be 11, which will be 5.5, which will be 5.5. So that is why is a 11 divided by 2 give you 5.5. So this is a 5.5. So whatever your wrist is, if the wrist is a 10, you add 2 inches to 10, so giving you what? Giving you 12. So this now will be the wideness of this thing. So it will be 6 inches in which you will shape out. So that is how to get the wideness of this pattern of a dress. So now the next thing to do now is to measure the length. So this is the length. I leave half inches here. So you measure the length, which is a 22. You leave half inches upward. You leave half inch upward for seam allowance. Then you measure 22. You measure 22. Unlike a cuff, unlike a normal one that will be cuff, which we now need to reduce it by 2 inches. So but here now you add additional half inches to it. You add additional half inch to it for seam allowance. So that is how to cut then you do what? You shape it out and you cut it. So that is how I cut this. So the next thing to do now is to cut the collar stay, or is to cut the collar stay or sleeve. So anyone you call it, you can use sleeve or collar stay. So call it. So this is a 3 inches. The wideness is a 3 inches. So the wideness is a 3 inches. Then you open it. This is the back. This is the back. Then you place the sleeve on it, and you leave half inch here. You leave half inch here. So just place it on it like this, and you iron it. You press it. So after you do that, the next thing to do now is to cut the excess. Cut the excess. So now you have to cut the middle here, but what you have to cut here now, this is for seam allowance, this for seam allowance. So you leave half inch here and leave half inch for seam allowance. So what I have left here now is a 5 inches. Is a 5 inches, and the 5 inches divided by 2 will give me 2.5. So that's the center of the sleeve now. That's the center, not this center, but the side of the sleeve. So 2.5 here, 2.5 here as well. So then you roll it. roll it. After you roll it, the opening now, I want the opening to be 5.5. So at the end, after I finish sewing it, I want it to be 5.5. So but here now I will make it from here, I'll make it 5 inches. So that is where I will cut 5 inches. That is it. So that is it. So then the next thing now is to cut for the inner facing. This is the inner facing that I'm using. So just make sure that the facing you have to cut is longer than the opening. Is longer than the opening. So this is a 7 inches. So this is a 7 inches. Then the wideness will be more than the sleeve to have excess. So just place it on it like this. Lay this and place this on it. This is the back. Why this is the face. So just then make sure that the center here is aligned. And you do what? You trim for this. So that is all. So now the next thing to do now is to fold here. So that is that. So now the next thing to do is to proceed to sewing. So this is the front now, and now you place both fronts on each other. So this is the front, this is the face, this is the face, this is the face of the material as well. So now what you have to do now is to stitch it from the back. Stitch it from the back. You can apply office pin to hold this down. So now you have to stitch here. So let me do that. So now I've stitched it. So I've stitched it run through here. So this is it. This is it. You can see the stitches. I did not sew it too close to the stay. I leave a little space between the stitches and the sleeve. You can see it. So then I run through here, and what I hold here is not more than the 0.2, not up to half. 9 inches, so that's 4.5. So giving us a 4.5 times 2, giving us a 9 inches. So this is where I will stitch now. So let me quickly do that, and that is all. So now just turn it outside.